All right, let's make a formal introduction for our listeners. Good afternoon, Patrick. My name is Claudio, and I'm calling you from Washington, D.C. From the studios in Fairfax City. We're very humble and grateful that Patrick Cassidy accepted our invitation to our show. Patrick, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Claudio. Lovely to meet you.
Same here. Let's go back to the beginning. Were you born like in a musical family? How old were you when you perhaps began taking piano lesson or guitar lesson way before you start producing and creating music?
Well, my father played the violin, but he was an amateur, and by profession he was a pharmacist, but he loved music. And, like a lot of families, we were all sent to music lessons, piano lessons. And then it just developed from there. And then, I became interested in other things. There was a lot of music in the household when I was growing up. And I got interested in traditional music, and I often went to traditional music sessions with my father, and things just developed from there. And an interest in classical music, but also in Irish folk music.
Yeah. Were you in any band when you were the way of high school here in the United States? Back in Ireland?
Well, I only came to the United States in 2000. So, I went to high school, university, most of my adult life in Ireland, even, so, but, I was in various bands. I had a band with my brother Frank in high school. We had a rock band. And then we also had a traditional folk band with some of my other brothers. And, so I was always dabbling in music. And even when I was in university, I had a string quartet where I was playing the harp, and I had a string quartet accompanying my harp music. So I was always busy playing music.
Yeah, got it. Perfect. And my understanding is that you receive a bachelor in applied mathematics.
That's right, yes.
Nothing to do with music. So eventually, when you were in high school, was music that important to you, or science, or it was difficult for you to make a decision? Well, I like music. I don't know what to do with the music. I should follow the safe path, and then study at university. Any pressure for you from the family, or one way or another?
Well, my father felt it was a good idea for me to do something. That was a plan B in a sense, or just do something, because being a musician, is not a very stable career or life.
Yeah.
There's no guarantee you're going to get work. So my father felt it was important for me to do something that could be a plan B, or to just do something that would be a bit safer. And but then, I just drifted into music anyway, and I never went back to mathematics. That's just the way things turned out.
I got it. Yeah, I'm like you. I'm a computer engineer. No music. But I grew up in Chile, and my dad had an obscene amount of music. So I knew early. I don't know, when I was probably 14, when I bought my first vinyl, that music will become an important part of my life. And of course, I don't play music. I don't know how to read music, but I did the plan B of you. I study science, and then I went to graduate school and never studied music, but I always been listening to music. Have a big music collection. See a lot of concerts in my life, and music has given me a lot of satisfaction. So it's great.
Good.
And then you got like 3 years later, after you graduated, you end up releasing your first your debut album called Crude. I think it means harp in Irish. Is that correct? Yeah.
That's correct. Yes, and it was an album of Irish harp music from the 17th century, mainly 17th, early 18th century bardic harp music, but I arranged it in the classical style of the period. So I arranged it in a Baroque style, and we had just a small string ensemble with 2 oboes and myself playing the harp, and I arranged it, and that was my first big release in terms of an album.
And then where did you learn how to create an orchestra and put it together? It's not that easy going for applied mathematics to without having a degree in music.
I believe you cannot learn composition anyway. You know,
Okay.
that you need to better yourself, because even if you go to music school,
Yeah.
you know, it's only a foundation.
All right.
So,
Yeah.
you know, composition orchestration is something a person has to learn by themselves. Just trying to learn how to be a novelist. You know, you can't teach something like that, I don't believe.
You were born with the talent, I suppose, right?
Well, no, I mean, it's 99% perspiration.
I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so then after 1998, you decided, well, I'm not going back to science. I like music enough. I just put this album together. I'm going up for the next one. Try to get into some film music or right, and keep on composing. That was.
Well, the film music came a lot later, because my next piece was the Children of Lir, which was
Yep.
the first cantata in the Irish language.
Yeah.
And you know, that was recorded with the London Symphony Orchestra, and it was an immensely successful album. It was at #1 in the Irish classical charts for more than 1 year. So that
Wow.
really got my career going then.
Yeah. Wow, unbelievable. So at the time, your dad was happy that you, although you studied science, you had the music, but you were doing okay. You were doing okay.
I still had no money, but my father was happy.
That's right. And the money came later on. So I suppose that, you know, it was, you knew you were, you know, your early 20s, you realized, well, music is becoming more and more important. I have released 2 albums, and I should, you know, keep on working in this area,
Yeah,
in this field, right?
I continued on doing things. I did another album, another piece, another cantata called Deirdre of the Sorrows, and that was also with the London Symphony Orchestra. And then I was commissioned to write a piece for the anniversary of the Irish famine, which was 1997, and that was performed at St. Patrick's Cathedral in New York, and that was hosted by Angelica Houston. And you know, by that time I had contacts in America and I had a publishing deal here, so I was thinking about moving, and my father passed away then a year later. So then around 2000, I think I moved here to Los Angeles.
Yeah, was music related? You thought that you will be better off here in the United States than staying in back home?
Yeah, there's more opportunities here than there were in Ireland.
Yeah. And then in 2001, a couple years later, you end up working with Hannibal, and feel free to elaborate on I think the film was directed by Riley Scott, and of course, you know, it became for me very, very, very good, very popular, and it features the Patrick's area, Be the Core Boom, right?
Yeah, Vida Carmeum, Behold My Heart. And the movie was shot in Florence, and the text for the aria that I wrote for the movie was from Dante, who is obviously Italy's greatest poet, who also was from Florence. In actual fact, he'd been exiled from Florence. And so that aria has become immensely popular. In actual fact, I was in London last month, where it was performed by the English National Opera at the Royal Albert Hall. And the concert was the greatest hits of opera. And my piece, Vida Carmeum, was the only piece in the concert by a living composer. So that was a big honor. And just to that, Vida Carmeum has proved the seed for a full opera on Dante, which I've written. And that would premiere in Germany next year at Theater Hof in Bavaria. So this opera it's titled Dante, but it tells the story of the poet's life in his own words. So the entire libretto is taken from Dante's own poetry.
I got it. And my understanding is that that was chosen to be performed at the Oscar in 2002, right?
It was when Dino won his when Dino De Laurentiis won his Lifetime Achievement Award. He chose that piece he played, yes. And now that aria has been performed by so many different people, Catherine Jenkins, etc., who's a huge classical singer in the UK, and many other performers have done a cover of it. But for the concert in London at the Royal Albert Hall, it was sung again by Danielle Denise, who actually sung it in the movie.
Yeah, perfect, great. And do you, in general, do you orchestrate your own music, and is orchestration an important part of the composing process, if you will? Or
yeah, I mean, it's an integral part of composition. I think orchestration.
yeah.
And some composers have, well, I suppose different composers have different styles of orchestration as well. So it's one of the marks of a composer's style, how they orchestrate music, I feel.
Yeah, I got it. And in 2004, I ended up working with Lisa Gerrard in the album called Immortal Memory, which is also a masterpiece. So all your work is great. And have you ended up meeting Lisa to begin with?
I met Lisa because I was working in Hans Zimmer's studio at the same time as Lisa. In actual fact, Gladiator was the movie that Hans Zimmer did before Hannibal, and Lisa was working on Gladiator. While I was just very new in the studio, and then I worked on the subsequent movie, which was Hannibal. So I got to know Lisa at that time, and we became great friends.
Yeah, I got it. I really like the track. I think it's called "Sailing to Byzantium."
Oh, yes.
It's very powerful. I listened to most of your music last night. As I was preparing question for the interview, and that stayed my mind for a while. I listened to like 3 or 4.
Sailing to Byzantium. Well, we took the title of that piece from the W.B. Yeats poem "Sailing to Byzantium," which is a beautiful poem. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah, that's great. And then in general, do you like to listen to other composers' film score at all? Some people don't. Some musicians, when they write the music, they prefer to be isolated, don't turn to Spotify or whatever you do. And do you prefer to listen to, I don't know, Ennio Morricone or John Williams or many others?
Well, the opera Dante is now finished, so I've been thinking about writing another cantata, and I've been listening a lot to Bach. So it's important to listen to other composers. Yeah. And but generally I tend to listen to classical composers.
Yeah.
At the moment, I'm listening an awful lot to the music of Bach, but I also love Handel, Mozart, and Beethoven. So I listen a lot to that, but I also listen to some more contemporary film music too, because it's important to kind of see what other people are doing and what's kind of, what's the latest style, in a sense.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I completely agree with you. And in 2004 also, you end up collaborating with Lisa again in the film Salem's Lot, I believe. I think you guys were in an episode in 2004, if I remember correctly. Yeah.
During that period, I worked with Lisa almost exclusively, for a period of maybe 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
And I was more in Australia than I was actually in Los Angeles. I was meeting myself coming on and back.
Really?
Yeah, but because we did all our work in Australia, yes.
Yeah, I got it. Oh, that's great. Man. And another film in 2004, I think it's called Layer Cake. That correct?
That's right. Yeah, I worked with Lisa on that movie as well. Yes.
Yeah. Another album that I really like is called Ashes as Snow, right?
Yes.
And feel free to elaborate on that album, what you remember about that album and so forth.
Well, Ashes and Snow was an art installation, really, but it consisted of this footage of nature, elephants, whales, dolphins, beautifully shot in a completely novel way. So our friend Pietro Scalia, who actually was the editor on Hannibal, and Pietro also was the person who came to my studio when I was writing the aria for Ridley Scott. He was brought in to edit that, and he asked myself and Lisa to work on it. So some other composers worked on it as well, but myself and Lisa did a lot, and quite a number. I think we did more pieces than anybody else for that movie. Yeah,
I got it.
great. It was a very, very innovative, novel approach. Beautiful film, really. Yeah.
And then I was reading your discography, and I cross-referenced with the one from Lisa, and I came across another album that I didn't know existed called Black Opal from 2009. I think in that album included collaboration with you, with Michael Edwards, James Orr, and so on and so forth. I think Lisa had her own record label that Gerrard Records, I believe it's called. And I wasn't aware of the existence of the album, and I listened to it. It's very, very good, actually.
Yeah, it's an excellent album. I think that was mainly made up of pieces that we had just recorded, over the years, and they hadn't found a home in a sense. So I think Lisa found them and put them on that album, and they're very, very nice pieces, obviously.
Yeah, absolutely. And
it was great working with Lisa. I ended up doing things quite differently than I would have done them myself, and we did a lot of things. I think it brought out the best in both of us working together. It was good.
I got it. And I think in 2014 also another collaboration with Lisa Gerrard. I think it's an album called Twilight Kingdom on her own record label.
Oh,
I think
yeah.
It bring collaboration with yourself, Daniel, Astrid Williams, and Russell Crowe as well, right? So
that's right. Yeah. That's another beautiful album.
Absolutely, yeah.
And obviously, it wasn't just Lisa and me. There were other people involved as well with that. Yeah.
Yeah, I got it. Perfect. I think you were. My understanding that you became, it's a Knight of Italy conferred by the President of Italy. And I think with the title Cavaliere dell'Ordine della Stella d'Italia, I think it's called. That's
right. But, they made me a Cavaliere, and which is a knight, and it's in recognition of my work with Dante.
Yeah.
For the opera. So, and obviously that was an amazing honor. Yes.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Italy is such a beautiful country. I was there last week with my wife. We came back Monday night. So
yeah, I love Italy. Italy is beautiful. It's my favorite country.
Really, yeah.
Love it. It's just incredible. And I was there myself. While I was a month ago, I was in London, in Ireland, and in Italy. I had to go over for a few things, so it was just lovely to spend a few days there again. It's an amazing place.
Absolutely, man. In 2021, you ended up producing the Mass, which is, feel free to elaborate. I think it was the first setting of the Catholic Latin Mass, but an Irish composer. That correct? The first statement, or?
Yeah, that's right. It's the Mass is it's an hour in duration, so it's quite a big setting of the Latin Mass. And at one time, the Latin Mass was a very popular composition, and many composers had done their own settings, like Beethoven's Missa Solemnis. You have Mozart's Great Mass in C minor, and Haydn wrote more than one Mass. Well, actually, so did Mozart. He wrote quite a few. Some small Missa Brevis settings of the Mass. So there hadn't been a large scale Mass done in a while, and I told my father that I would write one someday. And my father's now passed away, so I dedicate it to him. It's in his memory. And the curious thing, I did the Mass with the London Symphony Orchestra and the London Voices. But then during COVID here in LA, just a year and a half ago, just towards the end of COVID, I did another version of the Mass just for choir and organ, and I recorded it here at First Congregational Church in Los Angeles. And it's this church actually has the largest pipe organ in the world, and it's a more intimate version of the Mass, but I think it's quite beautiful as well. I'm very happy with that. And that was my COVID.
Yeah, it's a masterpiece. It's I really like it. I listened to that again last night and a couple of days ago, and it's very, very beautiful.
Thank you very much.
Everybody, you don't have to be a Catholic to. It so happened that I'm Catholic. I grew up in a Catholic family, but you don't have to be Catholic to appreciate the good music and and the organ.
Well, the first congregational church is a Protestant church, and they did the organ version of it. So I'm hoping to get it out to all of the denominations.
That's right. And how long does it take for create something like that? I mean, from end to end, from your end, right?
Well, I think the mass took about a year. Between it might have taken more because I didn't write it all at one time. I took gaps in between because other things came up. But I suppose it was about a year's work. I didn't want to rush it, so I took my time. But I think it's important, I think, for a big concert work not to rush.
Yeah.
And give plenty of time. So it's an hour, and it's about a year's work, I would think.
Yeah. Are you always working in multiple projects at the same time, or it's hard to concentrate, or you prefer to start something, finish it, and then go to the next one, or go to the next one? Or...
It varies, I mean, the mass was written over a number of years, and then it was interrupted by other projects that came along. It's very hard to work in It's very hard to work in two things at the same time.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if you're going to do that, obviously you have to divide your time between the two of them. But usually what happens is, sometimes I get a movie project, and obviously when I'm doing that, I would work on nothing else. But then I usually have other projects going. I mean, the mass was my own project and my own idea to do that.
I got it. Yeah.
So it wasn't a commission or anything. So, I mean, I just work every day. I write music every day, and whether it's for myself or for a movie or some commission, it doesn't really matter. I still go into my studio and write. Yeah.
In general terms, is it difficult to make a decent salary as a musician, whether it's creating classical music or composing music for film or other stuff? Is it hard? Is a lot of competition in your line of work?
I mean, I think it's becoming more difficult as well. And the percentage of composers who make a good living out of it is tiny, I would think.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of composers have to get other part-time jobs, and it's very, very difficult to make a living out of it. I mean, I've been quite successful, and I've struggled to make a living even, at times. It's
I mean, everybody knows, I don't know, the John Williams of this world, the Ennio Morricone, the Hans Zimmer, but those are the exception of the rule. Very few people really, became, well known, or they make a good living, and so forth. I suppose it's not that easy to make a living in your line of work, right?
No, it's not easy at all. It certainly isn't. And I'm just telling you that my phone told me it's only got 20% left on its battery, but I think we'll be okay.
Yeah, we'll be all right. Yeah. And in 2022, you end up releasing the, I think it's called Famine and Remembrance. That is.
Remembrance was written for New York in 1997. That was a re-release.
Yep.
And I just was re-releasing it on Spotify. So that's a piece I wrote quite a number of times, quite a while ago. As I said, the latest project has been Dante, and at the moment I'm doing some revisions for that. And then I've got a second opera then I'm also working on at the moment. But for the next maybe 2 months I'll be just doing revisions on Dante, and then I get back to there's another opera I'm working on, and I'm also working on another cantata.
Okay. Do you in music is like a job? You wake up every morning, you get your coffee or your tea, and you go to your studio and it's like, well, today I want to create a masterpiece, the best work of my life, or you're doing something else and ideas come to you when you're cooking or doing other stuff. How the creative process?
Well, it's hard to kind of go into your studio and say I'm going to write a masterpiece today, because you can't do that. obviously. I mean, it's mainly a slog, you know. I mean,
Yeah.
working on anything, and you know, writing music is hard. It's not easy.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And it can be very frustrating as well. Kind of work as well, and but I think it's important to work continuously, because that makes you a better composer. You know, I think if you come to it casually and just do a few hours here and there, you're not going to produce anything good, I don't think. So I come in every day and I work, and if I'm not working and I'm studying music.
I got it. Oh wow, that's not easy. In general, when you're creating music for a film, how many times you need to see like a draft of a movie before you begin to formulate ideas on the style of music that you will compose?
I mean, usually by the time the composer's shown the movie, there's very little time left, because deadlines for movies are really tight. And you know, I mean, after one view of a movie, it's easy to get what the sentiment of the movie is. That's obvious. I think anybody can take, you know, anybody can understand what a movie is about, I think, after even one viewing, and understand what the movie is trying to convey in terms of the sentiment, and even how music can help it. But I suppose then writing the music is another thing. And, you know, you never know. I mean, sometimes you come up with something brilliant straight away. Other times it's a little harder. But usually there isn't time to think. So, you know, you start writing straight away.
How long do you have to when somebody commissions you to do a work for a movie? You see a movie a couple of times and you go home. It's like a month time.
No, it's usually about 12 weeks. You know,
12 weeks. Okay.
But it's 12 weeks usually, and that includes recording the music, preparing the scores, mixing it. You know, so obviously you're not going to get 12 weeks composing. Maybe 8 weeks composing, and the rest then maybe mixing it, and maybe, you know, recording it, mixing it, etc. You know, so there's not a lot of time.
Yeah, I have talked to another film composer, and you know, I was told time and time again that, you know, the budget usually for film score is I don't know, maybe 1% of the whole budget from the movie, or whatever the percentage happen to be, and it's as if music is looked with a lower priority, but in my opinion, you know, has, you know, a high. How you balance it, because, you know, you know, whoever the producer would allocate X number of dollars for the film score, which in my opinion is an important part of the film. I mean, I have seen many movies that the music is great with a terrible film, and vice versa. A great film with the music score, it wasn't that great. And how you balance it? How the producer, the studio balance the budget that is allocated for someone?
Well, you know, it's not up to me what they pay me, you know, so, or what you know, I mean, that's just the way they do the budgets and movies. They allocate money. I mean, if the movie is costing $200 million, that would, at 1%, that leaves $2 million for the composer, which I suppose isn't bad. But if the movie's been shot for $1 million, you know, that would only leave $10,000 for the score, which is leaving things very tight, you know. But that's just the way it is. I can't do anything about that, and, you know, I just have to work with what I have. But what I will say is that I think the score has a good score can really transform a movie. And Absolutely. It can really enhance a movie, without a doubt. And I've seen scores kill a movie.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, a bad score can really hurt a movie, I think. Yes.
Wow. Yeah. What's happened when?
I suppose, you know. I mean, that stands to reason.
Yeah. What's happened with a particular? I have seen. I read a couple of instances, well, many instances where the producer or the director end up rejecting the score. What happened with that? where does it go after, when a film is ready? It comes to you, it belongs to you, you can reuse it for the film, or no?
I don't know what happened. It's never happened to me, thank
Really?
God. And but um, I think the studio actually owns the music, even if they haven't used it. That's what I believe is the situation. Yeah, but I suppose you could change a few notes and reuse it in something else, as well, possibly. Who knows?
Yeah. Was writing music something that you always knew that you want to do as a career, or
But I think
although
I'm very lucky. I think I'm very fortunate because I am doing something that I love doing. I mean, not everybody can get to work at their hobby. And my hobby became my living and my life as well. So I'm a very fortunate person, I think.
Hmm. Yeah, that's
You know?
great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not many people can say that. What are you working nowadays? What is in your plate at this moment?
But at the moment, I'm doing revisions on Dante.
Yeah.
Okay, the opera, because the producers in the director of the opera in Bavaria asked me to do some things just to accommodate his vision for directing the opera. So that's going to take me about 2 months to do the revisions on that.
Yeah.
And as I was saying earlier, I've got another opera I've been working on that I
Yeah.
actually started during COVID, and that's about 1/3 written. So I'll probably get back to that after I'm finished my revisions on Dante. I also have
Yeah.
another cantata I've been working on. I don't want to say too much about it, but it's
Sure.
something that's a passion for me, and I've been working on that as well. And there's a couple of movies as well that are in the offering, it would seem, as well, also. I can't say too much about that,
Sure.
but I expect to be busy regardless.
Yeah. Got it. Perfect. Any possibility, any work with Lisa Gerrard, if you can mention
Um,
anything down the
no,
road, or no?
Lisa hasn't been to LA in ages.
Yeah.
Hasn't been here since well before COVID. So I always love working with Lisa. Maybe we'll do something. Maybe we'll do something the next time she's here. Or
Yeah.
it's always a nice thing to work with Lisa. Who knows?
Yeah.
But you can never say what's going to happen in the future.
That's right. Yeah.
Especially in this business, nothing really.
I imagine so.
Yeah.
I only have like 3 questions left. Looking back on your musical career, what moment are special to you? Any regret or thing you would have done differently looking back, or?
Well, I'm not looking back yet. I think I still got. I'm still very ambitious, so
Yeah.
I'm not looking back at all. I
No.
mean,
Yeah.
and there's no point in regretting something you did because you can't do anything about it anyway. And
Yeah.
I'm sure I made some mistakes, but I don't think I made any big ones. And um, anyway, if I have, I'm going to try and rectify them. So I mean, the way I'm always looking forward to the next thing. That's my philosophy. I don't look back at all.
Yeah. Some people live in the past or in the future. They don't live in the present. It's myself included. So.
Yeah, I'm in the present and in the future very much.
Yeah. All right. You will learn from the mistake, great things in the past. The
Oh,
past is the past, right?
really
You need to move
important.
forward, right?
It's actually really important to learn from your mistakes, and
Absolutely. Yeah.
I hope I have.
Yeah. I'm quite sure you have, but I don't know if you have committed many mistakes or not. What do you do for fun? No music related.
Um, I hike a lot. I love
Yeah.
hiking, and I love sport. Um,
Yeah.
I love watching football on television, and
Yeah.
or rugby on television. I've always loved sport. When I was growing up, our
Yeah.
family were always involved in athletics, running, different types of football, etc., Gaelic games as well.
Yeah.
And so I still love sport, and I love getting exercise. I have a dog, and I love taking the dog for a walk. I take him up the canyon here,
Yeah.
beside where I live, and I usually bring a football with me, and we kick around the football with him as well. So I
All
love
right.
doing things. Um, and I like going out. I like going out for a drink, and having a good life. And I like traveling, obviously, as well.
Yeah, oh, that's good for you, man. And the last question, feel free to elaborate where our listener can buy your music. Feel free to mention your website or where the people can buy your records. You know.
Well, people don't buy records anymore now, I suppose, but you can listen to my music on Spotify.
Yeah.
And, my website is very simple. It's patrickcassidy.com.
Yeah.
I'm doing is on that website. And I've got one little plug. If anybody's free on the 15th of June next year, please come to Bavaria for the premiere of Dante.
Yeah.
And I believe the tickets have not gone on sale yet. We're still back. Low battery. I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, it's okay.
So I think I have 10%.
Yeah.
So we're okay. And yeah, just that little plug. If anybody, especially people who like the aria Vita Carmeum, there's now an opera around that aria. And so if anybody is free next June, please come to the premiere.
All right. I will try to make it. I go to Europe very often, so.
Claudio, it was lovely meeting you.
Same here, man. Good luck to you,
pleasure.
and hopefully we'll meet one another face to face one day, man. Very nice talking to you.
Maybe we'll meet with Lisa sometime, all three of us, and Marcello as well.
And Marcello, we'll go to dinner or something. All right. That would be great. Nice. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Have a good afternoon.
Thank you, Claudio.
Bye.
Here, bye-bye now. Bye-bye.